Welcome to the Fathering Strong podcast, dedicated to empowering fathers to build stronger families and communities. Each week, we bring you conversations with experts, everyday dads, and community leaders who share their wisdom and experience to help you become the father your children need. Whether you're a new dad just starting out, a seasoned father facing new challenges, or someone who mentors and supports fathers in your community, you'll find practical advice, heartfelt stories, and evidence-based strategies to strengthen your fathering journey. You can find all our previous episodes, resources for fathers, and information about Urban Light Ministries programs at urbanlight.org. If you find value in our podcast, please subscribe and share it with other fathers in your life who might benefit from this community. And now, here's Pastor Eli Williams with this week's episode.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to this installment of the Fathering Strong podcast. I'm Eli Williams, and my guest today is Geoff Walker, or more commonly known as Geoff. Thank you so much, sir, for taking time out of your very busy day. I mean, even though you're retired, you are a very busy fellow, and we do appreciate you taking the time today. Thank you.
Well, thanks, Eli, and I appreciate you inviting me. This should be a lot of fun. We'll have a good time.
Looking forward to it.
Yeah.
As our regulars know, we're here to inform, to inspire, to encourage fathers to be the best dads they can be, the best parents and the best co-parents that their children need. So we're going to begin with you, Geoff, as we typically do, by asking you to tell us about your own fatherhood journey, beginning with your life growing up in the Walker household.
Sure. Well, I had a odd upbringing in a way. My parents were missionaries to India. My dad was a physician. I was born there, but came back at a fairly early age and grew up in Western Indiana. I'm very much a Hoosier, married a Buckeye. We're in split religions where we cheer for the Bucks in football, but you better not cheer for the Bucks during basketball season. There's only one team in this household. So we've survived our religious differences in sports these many years. So my father was an unusual cat. He really was. He lost his father when he was 8 years old, and my grandfather was killed in a trucking accident right there at the beginning of the Depression. He and his siblings basically lived in the upstairs attic while the house was rented out, and he started working at age 9 as a gopher, delivering papers, doing anything he could to bring money into the family while he was going to school. His mother, my grandmother, was a very quiet lady but very tough, who helped them survive that, scrub floors at hospitals, and she did something wonderful for him. This is interesting, talking about mentorship. She argued the local pastor, who was a great man. He had PhD in Shakespeare studies. He was an Englishman at one of the largest churches in America in Evansville, Indiana. And she argued him into taking my dad in every weekend and having him live there on the weekends so that he could influence him. And that mentorship changed my dad's life out of poverty. It resulted in him becoming a very good writer, a very good student, a good musician. And it was all the influence of this one man, this pastor, who took him in on the weekends. In fact, my dad ended up, after he went to World War II, he fought on the front lines in North Africa and Italy in World War II, but came back, and this pastor sent him out to start 2 churches. So there's 2 churches in the state of Indiana. I visited that. He was the founding pastor as a 21-year-old.
Wow.
Yeah. And he married my mom right before the war started. And at 19, then went over in 2 weeks and fought, was gone for 2.5 years. But came back under the GI Bill, got his degree in journalism, of all things, at the University of Evansville, but then decided the Lord grabbed his heart. And for some reason, he became interested in India, went to med school, and became a doctor. And in 54, went over there with the family. There are 5 kids in my family, 4 boys and 1 girl. God bless my sister. She's the only sane member of the family. The other all 4 boys are barbarians. She is not. She's a wonderful lady. So my dad was, his upbringing in some ways was this pastor, his mother, and the military. So, what I'd say in my relationship with my father was, incredible respect and admiration. I mean, he was a musician, a doctor, a writer, a pilot, and knew how to build things. He had all these things, but because of his upbringing, he could be rather severe. Because that's all he knew, and he had these 4 barbarian boys, and God help him, he tried his best. But it was interesting. But we always knew at all times he was on our side. We knew at all times that he wanted us to be our best. That was without, and that he was involved in our lives. And most of all, that he loved my mother. We saw the love of the way he loved my mother and the way he respected her and treated her well, which was more important, almost more important than everything else, because it said who he was. He was a Bible teacher. We were in the 1960s. For a while, the fastest growing church in the United States was Bethesda Baptist, Brownsburg, Indiana. I mean, it went from 20 people to 2,000 in a click of your fingers. And he had the largest Sunday school class for years, about 130 people. So a church within a church. And he was an ordained minister. I would say about my father journey is he started off as this very strict disciplinarian, and over time he learned from others the loving side of being a father. So by the time I was in high school, he was a much gentler, still strict. As my brother used to say, don't mess with him. He killed Germans. So, but
well, let me ask you about that. Let me ask
Yeah.
you about him learning to be more loving. I'm not sure your exact words, but
Yes,
how did
yeah.
he learn that? Was that by example? He learned by example? Was it teaching? Was it mentoring? How did he learn to
I
be a
think he learned.
different kind of father?
I think learning more about Jesus. I think it was his walk with the Lord. The more he learned about Christ and the way that Christ was, he started really examining himself and going, "Oh no, that's not good. I'm not doing this right." See, he was a product of his culture.
Yeah.
And not only his upbringing, but the culture in the 1950s and 60s was, hit the kid first and then ask questions later. That was the parenting style. And I think the more he got closer to Christ, and his whole life he got closer to Christ, that changed his heart and how he dealt with things. One of the big moments in my life was I was 15. I was supposed to be home by 11. I didn't get home till midnight, but it wasn't on purpose. My watch literally had died. I thought I still had time. And of course, he was going to punish me to the ends of the earth. And I kept telling him, "Dad, I'm not lying. I'm not lying." He woke up at 3:00 in the morning with tears in his eyes, came in the room and said, "I'm sorry. I believe you." And walked out. And I'm sorry, he also asked, "Will you forgive me?" And walked back to his bedroom. And I was like, I was in the same bedroom with my little brother, and I looked at him and go, "Did that just happen? Did that really just happen?" Because this is the strict disciplinarian we knew, and we could see his heart changing as he got closer to Christ. So our relationship, particularly in high school, became much closer because of that the way of behaving. And then I had a major event in my life, and I think I was telling you about this. I dated the same girl through high school, thought she was the love of my life. She wisely realized we were too young and broke it off at the end of her senior year. And I decided I was going to kill myself. And I was intent. I was going to die. I had planned out how I was going to die, ran my car into this bridge, and that was going to happen. I had it all planned. My dad comes home. He takes one look at me, and he stops. He just stops. And you understand, he's a family physician, and he sees a lot of things. And there was something in my eyes that said to him, literally, there's death in his eyes. And he stopped and said, "Oh, you come with me, please come with me." And he sat me down, and he basically said, "I don't know what's happened, and when you're ready to tell me, you can, but I can see you're getting ready to end your life." That's what he said. And he said, "I don't want you to do that. I don't want you to do that. There's a purpose, and God always has a purpose for the bad things that happen in our lives. There's always purpose. He's trying to get you ready for something. I don't know what it is. I think it's to help somebody else in the future. So you need to stay around. You need to stay here. There is purpose." And he said, "We have to pray. We have to get on our knees and pray." So we got on our knees and prayed. And my plans went completely out the window. They were gone. There was no other thought of doing that.
That to me, I even hate to interrupt you, but I just
Yeah.
had to say, I mean, the first time you told me that the other day, I thought, we have got to share this with the world.
It's
to see how a man who went from such an authoritarian style to a nurturing, intimately aware father who is able to so be in tune with his son that he can look in his eyes and tell that something was terribly wrong.
Yeah. And God used him to save my life. And I'll get into my fathering journey with children, but I'll fast forward years later to tie this together.
Yeah.
My son and I have a very good relationship, and it's high school, and he's 18. And he walks in the door and he says, "Dad, I'm going to kill myself." And my reply was, "Well, actually you're not, because Dad's not going to let you. Sit down and talk to me. Let's hear what this is about." And it was a chemical imbalance that was causing obsessive thoughts, that it needed to be treated quickly. And it was a very, very tough thing for this kid. Had never caused me any trouble in his life. And he comes and he tells me that. It's like, whoa. And the first thought in my mind came back to my 18th year. I said, "Oh, but the first thing we need to do," I said, "number one, this is happening for a reason." That's the same thing my father said. God has a purpose for this. I don't know what it is. You don't know what it is, but there's a purpose. And two, we're going to stop and pray right now. We're going to pray to the Father about this and talk to him about it. And we did. And he survived that. And we did get help. We did get treatment. And I'm happy to say for our listeners, he's in Kosovo, teaching Albanian children at a school started by a lady from Jamestown, Ohio. He's been there for 10 years, married to this wonderful Albanian Christian, has my first grandson, and he's extremely happy with his life. And I saw him while I was there on one of my visits when he said, "Dad, I got to go talk to this kid. I think something's going wrong, and I think he's extremely depressed. I need to go talk to him." Now, that goes all the way back to my father doing what he did.
Absolutely.
It's all tied together. So it was God is so good.
Yes, he is.
And I don't, whatever anyone is going through, I'm just going to reiterate what my dad said. Others may have meant it for evil.
Yeah.
Like Joseph, but God means it for good. There's something you're supposed to do with that terrible, terrible experience. and you can't see it. I was one of those weird guys who wanted to be married, and I had other relationships that fell through, and I couldn't see why, but ended up with a wife for the last 37 years that is worth a zillion dollars to me, for her friendship and her love, and the greatest friend I've ever had.
How did you meet?
So we were at Cedarville University together, and she didn't like me. She was captain of the cheerleaders. Uh, all she ever saw me doing, I was part of a comedy troupe and always had a guitar strapped to my back and a girl on the arm, and she just thought I was real frivolous and really not much to talk about. After college, I drove a forklift for a year to raise money so I could come to law school here in Dayton, and she was attending, my church is Southgate Baptist, and I said, "Well, I'm going to law school, I'll still go there to church." And I walk in and she's there. And she hates when I tell this story, so that's why I'm gonna tell it.
Yeah.
She was standing there, she looked over and she saw me and she said, and she claims wasn't this way, but I know it was. She said, "What are you doing here?" And at that point, it was like the light bulb went off. Oh, I'm supposed to date her.
That's hilarious.
Because, I need somebody to tell me what's up.
Yeah.
And I knew, well, she'll tell me what's up. And so I started pursuing, and it took a little while, but she finally said yes about 3.5, 4 years later after I got through law school. And here we are. So, I like to tell her, I got you when you were old and desperate.
Oh, yeah, sure.
Yeah.
What was she, 20?
Yeah. No, if she's 24, but but I married way above my station in life. There's no doubt about that. So,
well, she's a fine woman. No doubt about that. Very, a wonderful, sweet woman of God. So you had your child. What was it like having your first child?
so that was so my Ethan was actually a preemie. He was about 5 weeks early and spent his first 10 to 12 days at Children's Hospital on a respirator. So his beginning was rough. He had a lot of breathing problems at first, but I was, of course, elated to have a son. Ethan for me was because of Ethan the Ezrahite, who was a musician, and that's why he got named. Why I wanted him to be Ethan. It turns out that names means ancient, and my son was born an old man. He is an old, wise soul, like, which is really funny because where he's serving, his way of acting, thinking, decide is perfect for that culture, which is almost more of a Middle Eastern culture. They love him because he's not the ugly, hard driving American. He's a little bit like them. So, but that first part was we were in and out of the hospital a bit with him, but he grew out of it. Like a lot of first children, very intelligent, very, very good with language, always from the beginning. And then Amelia came about 4 years later, my daughter, and I would say fatherhood, like for a lot of people, was I didn't realize how hard it would be. I'm glad I had them a little bit later, because when I'd been younger, it'd been a little tougher for me to handle. Because I have a lot of selfishness, and I at least was at an age where I was more likely to keep my temper and not be quite as selfish.
How old were you when you started having
28.
children?
28.
Yeah, so your brain had matured.
My brain had matured.
You were finished with school and all that.
Yes. Yeah, that helped.
Good.
That helped. My heart and respect goes out to fathers who have them at 19, 20, 21 and do well. I mean, you guys are my heroes. I don't know how you do it, because that's tough. And I was working a lot of hours. I was a trial attorney at that time when the kids were first growing up, and I was I know I was doing a minimum 70 hours a week easily, 7 days a week. It was I learned a lot from that job. Great people I worked with, but the Lord was. I knew that I was going to have to do something different because I wasn't spending a lot of time with my kids and family because I was working so much.
Mm-hmm.
And the job that I ended up having for 32 years, still a hard job, still a lot of hours, but not quite like that was. That was an answer to prayer. That Lord brought me that job. The story on that was I came home one Sunday night, having worked all day Sunday, missed church again, and sitting on the front steps. And my wife asked me, well, I guess this is our life. And I said, well, I don't know if I have any options. I said, there is one place I would like to work, but there's no opportunity. And she said, well, where? I go, Miami Valley Hospital, their in-house department, because they were one of my clients.
Mm-hmm.
I said, it's more steady. It's still a lot of hours, but it's more steady. And I love doing medical law. And she looked at me, she goes, and how much have you prayed about that? I said, well, I haven't. And she said, well, you're an idiot.
My goodness, that is perfect.
It is perfect. It's perfect. It's perfect.
She is the right woman for you, man. No question about it.
So I said, okay, well, let's, and she says, let's pray. Let's pray that comes open. Okay. Here comes the really cool part. So I walk in, it's Monday morning. A partner comes in, lays a packet on my desk. And this was a great law firm, and I love these people. I still have, they all showed up at my retirement. He lays, and it's Dayton's oldest law firm, and he lays a packet and he says, that's for you. I go, well, what is it? He goes, well, what do you think it is? It's a partnership agreement. We're going to make you a partner. So one hand, I've got partnership with this really wonderful firm, and then the phone rings. And it's a guy ended up being my boss for about 25 years. And he says, hey, my second in command is leaving. And he says, you should come here and work at Miami Valley with me. I dropped the phone. I literally dropped the phone.
Now, how long had you been praying about this?
What? That night before. That night before.
That's amazing.
So I pick up. I'm sorry, Dale. I'm sorry. I dropped the phone. I don't know why. He says, "Well, you want to come meet me for lunch and talk about it?" I said, "Yeah, I think I better." And by the way, Dale's a Christian too. And I said, "This may and I just said to him, this may very well be an answer to prayer." And he goes, "Well, I like that. Come to lunch." So and it wasn't necessarily an easy decision because I really liked these people I worked with. But I remember he asking me, so how many hours did you bill last year? I said, 3,300. And lawyers will know what that means, but that's like a year and a half of work. And he laughed. He said, oh, no, you won't do that here. So you'll work hard, but you won't do that. So after prayer and comparing it, took a couple of weeks, actually, of thinking about and praying about it. I took that job and was there for 32 years, retired as the chief lawyer, and the Lord really blessed. And that then gave me more time with my children.
Mm-hmm.
So from that point on, I could develop a little bit more of a relationship with them both. I will tell you, a very flawed father. Very flawed. I'm flawed because I'm 12 years old in some ways. I want to do what I want to do. If I want to have fun, I want to go have fun. And so if I want to sit there and play guitar for 2 hours, I'm going to go play guitar for 2 hours. I mean, that was my first inclination. Forgetting, my first thing to do is to spend my time with my wife first, most of all, putting her first, and then my children. So it took me a while to mature to where I could, stop thinking about myself first, and I haven't said I attained it yet, and to spend more time with them. We knew from the start these kids are going to be in church every Sunday. No doubt about it. That their life was going to be in the church. They were going to hear the gospel. They were going to know the gospel, and hopefully they would believe it. That they would be taught to be respectful, to control themselves in the right way. Impulse control is an important thing with children, while still having lots of fun and learning things. And so my wife was the best school teacher my kids ever had. I mean, that they want to blame teachers for what happens for the children. I'm like, no. No, it's the parents. It's the parents
Yeah.
not investing in their kids' lives. So Ethan was valedictorian and Amelia was salutatorian. They both did very well and then did very well in college. And I give my wife all the credit for that. Well, I should give them some credit. They worked hard.
Sure.
They did it, but her influence and my job was to say, do what your mother says. But I will say too, our parenting style, because I've been brought up in that very strict, in the beginning, a very strict lifestyle. It wasn't that we didn't hold our children accountable. We did quite a bit, but our rule was, if you show responsibility in an area, you're free to make the decision. If you don't show responsibility in that area, we decide. So what do you want to do? And so if they were irresponsible, we'd say, okay, you just lost the freedom in that area. Now you can regain it by showing that you can be responsible in that area. And that was kind of our style. It wasn't a set of rules. It was more, this is what responsible looks like. This is what righteous looks like. And if you do those things, have at it. You're free. They got very good, both of them, with money at an early age because they worked for it, and they had an allowance, but they had to work for it. So they had a lot of freedom with their money because they showed they could be responsible. There was a point where one of them wasn't very responsible driving, so the car was taken away for a while until they could show they're responsible again. Then okay, now you're okay. So that was kind of our way of doing things. We didn't use corporal punishment a lot. Because my children like to make money, I fined them a lot. They got fined, and that was more effective than anything else.
You knew what hurt.
Yeah, I knew what hurt. That's the point for fathers is,
Yeah.
Corporal punishment shouldn't be your go-to.
Right.
Instead, find out what is it that causes correction. What will cause correction? Now, to see something my father learned.
That's exactly what I was going to say. That's the difference again between authoritarianism and nurturance. Yes. You helped them to grow.
Yeah, we were supposed to be their teachers.
Yeah.
Now, my wife and I and the kids will laugh about the difference between the two of us. It showed up when we took them to school.
How so?
Valerie would take him to school, and as they're leaving, she'd go, I love you both so much. I hope you have a great day. I hope it's so much fun. I take him to school, and they can quote this: get out of my car and don't mess up. And they can quote it. And if they had a test, I would use the Spartan motto, which was, come home with your shield or on it. Other mother was like, oh, I love you. Hope you do great. No. You're Spartans. Come home with your shield or on it.
Yes. And both approaches spoke love to them.
They did. Yes. They knew. They knew that they knew I'd fight for them no matter what. and that I was.
But you're
that I
going to
was on
hold
their
them
side.
accountable to do the
Oh,
right thing
oh
and to
yeah,
work hard. Yeah.
oh yeah, and to work hard.
Wow.
And they both grew up that way. They are both tremendous workers, tremendous. And my daughter's an engineer, electrical engineer, married to a mechanical engineer, and they have a woodworking business on the side that they do. They live around Cedarville, and but both her and her husband very involved in local ministries. They both love volleyball, so they're kind of in this volleyball type ministry kind of thing, which is really cool. And then Ethan has given his life to not only to the Kosovars. He's also there's 2 churches there that he helps with, but he helps. I've been helping write some of their own music, their own Christian music. He's a very good pianist, very good musician, and has been working on that. So very proud of both of them and how they developed. And I can say, like a lot of fathers can, um, there's a lot of their success that's in spite of me,
Yeah.
in spite of what I did,
Yeah. Yeah.
and in spite of the mistakes I made. And that's God's grace.
Yeah.
And that's something I tell fathers: pray for God's grace. You are going to mess up.
Yep.
You're going to have a bad communication. You're going to have a bad day. It's just not going to go well. Pray for God's grace that they'll forgive you. And if you have a chance to ask for forgiveness, ask for it. You don't lose respect by asking for forgiveness when you've been wrong. You think, when my father did that when I was 15, you think I lost respect? Oh, no. No, my respect went out the roof. I mean, it was just at the highest level. I would have died for the man at that moment. So
Yeah.
being humble with your children is not weakness. It is not.
Yeah.
Not holding them accountable and teaching them to be and being their leader is a mistake. But being humble and loving is never a mistake. I would, one of the trend that we saw in the last 20 years that both my wife and I just shake our heads is where parents try to be their kids' friends.
That's a big one. Hold on to that thought, because I
Yeah.
want to pursue that with you a little deeper. My guest today is Geoff Walker.
Mhm.
He is a retired corporate attorney, wonderful father and musician, and friend. And we'll continue our conversation with him after this brief timeout.
Every father faces a crucial question: how do I become the dad my children truly need? I'm Bruce Stapleton, and my new book, Fathering Strong, God's Blueprint for Leading Your Family, offers the guidance you've been searching for. Drawing from scripture and real-life experiences, this book provides practical wisdom for fathers at every stage, from cradling a newborn to connecting with adult children. Discover how to build a legacy of faith, courage, and love through authentic fatherhood. Available now where books are sold.
Geoff Walker is my guest today on the Fathering Strong podcast. Thank you for listening in. And Geoff, I want to continue that conversation about this trend that there is of fathers wanting to be their child's friend or their best friend, their buddy. What's the problem with that?
Friends will never be as great as a true parent. A friend is a poor substitute for a true parent. Friends tend to be permissive, tend to not help course correct. They're not there to lead you. Now, your really good friends might, or you're a really special friend. But a parent is a different category. It's its own category. It's different. It has to be different if it's going to be successful. I view good parenting as good leadership. You are your child's leader. And you know what? I'm still that to some degree for my adult children.
Yeah. Because you're still their father.
I'm still their father. And my father was. He died at age 81 several years ago. But even to the end, he was trying to lead, not interfere. There's a difference. He wasn't trying to get between me and my wife or tell me how to be it was loving leadership. If there was a problem, he'd say, well, one thing you might consider doing, and it wasn't criticism, but it was leadership. And he continued to do that. My son is overseas. Partly, there was he spent like a week with my dad when he was in, I think it might have been in college, early college, where he had this long conversation with him for several days about being overseas and what that was like, because he was already thinking about it. My son was. And my dad basically showed him it's hard, but it's doable and it's rewarding. If you want to do it, do it. So he was leading his grandchildren.
Mm-hmm.
So what does leading look like? Well, number one is example. And one of the prime examples is that if you are married, that you are loving to your spouse. If you're not married, or you're in a divorce situation, you're respectful to the children's mother. You don't show hatred, and you show respect. Not always easy in those circumstances, but what you do. You show that you're responsible. A lot of this is this parenting is by example. You work hard. You show up to work on time, regardless of what that job is. Children don't care whether you're president of the United States or you're grabbing mud with your hands. They
Right.
don't care.
Right.
What they do see is that you are a faithful, hardworking person. And that you're there for them and respect and trying to help them. That's what matters for the children. The leadership means, if you want respect, that you speak respectfully to your children. It doesn't mean you don't correct or hold them accountable. But even when you do it, what you don't do is say, well, you nitwit, you knucklehead, why in the world, blah, 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 blah. Which was very common when I was growing up, that fathers that way, that kind of the Bobby Knight method of fathering. But you're clear, you're kind, but you're clear. And you show them that there's a way to communicate that is respectful. So
appreciate your words of wisdom about that, Geoff.
Yeah.
I tell these young men, your kid can always find a friend.
Oh yeah,
among their peers. They don't need you to be their friend. They can get friends. They need a parent, someone who's going to lovingly lead, guide, correct them when they need it.
Yeah, but most important thing that you can learn as a parent is to do those things, and you're going to do that best by keeping close to the source of all things, which is God. We study Him. You study His ways and His ways with us. You learn to be a parent.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
We're going to take another break, and when we come back, I want you to talk some about your passion for music.
Yep.
And some of the opportunities you've had with that to bless people with your music, and then we'll wrap things up.
Okay.
My guest today is Geoff Walker, and we'll continue our conversation and wrap things up after this break.
Children benefit significantly from the presence of committed, loving, nurturing fathers. Strong fathers contribute to stable families and safe, healthy communities. Fathering Strong connects, engages, and empowers fathers. Join the fatherhood movement at fatheringstrong.com to discover a wealth of resources. From inspiring videos to informative articles and instructive courses. By subscribing to our resources, you're not just helping yourself, you're helping Fathering Strong provide these valuable tools to families in need. Visit fatheringstrong.com, download the app, and subscribe to our YouTube channel today. Together, let's build stronger families and communities.
Geoff, you are a guitarist extraordinaire. I just love your music. We've been blessed to have Geoff come and provide music for some of our events. We always enjoy that, and I hope you get lots of compliments, because people tell me that they really enjoy what you do. Let's talk about that. How did you get started with music? What motivates you? What drives you? And what do you hope to be doing as we go forward into the future regarding your music?
So I grew up in a very musical family. Mom actually sang on the radio in Southern Indiana, Northern Kentucky with her sisters when she was a high schooler. Was with a quartet that was famous back in the 40s, 50s, and 60s called the Melody Four Quartet. Bill Pierce used to have Night Sounds. He had been a member of that, though not when she was there. She was their original first pianist and was guest soloist with them.
Is that right?
And Moody Bible, yeah. During the war, she sang and traveled with them. Dad was a great trumpet player. Knew the technical parts of music. So I grew up with just surrounded by. Dad was he was a physician. He was the choir director of this church that was exploding, and it got so big they had to get somebody full time. So he knew choir music, and so it was kind of an expectation that all 5 kids would get to know music. So one of my older brothers is a great trumpet player. My oldest brother's great, gorgeous baritone voice, plays guitar. My sister played piano, but has a beautiful voice. And my little brother plays trumpet. So everybody, that was part of our life. I didn't start playing guitar till I was 16. I actually played, of all things, I played 2 instruments in band. The complete opposites. I played flute and I played tuba. I was first chair, flute, second chair, tuba. And so
wait. During the same composition, you would play 2 different instruments?
So not necessarily, but like I had a concert where I played the piccolo solo for Stars and Stripes Forever. And then I went and played tuba and played the Hall of the Mountain King. Dun, 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 dun.
Wow.
My lips split open. You go from the loosest lips to the tightest lips. It was crazy. But one thing that you don't get when you're playing tuba and flute, dates. So I'd always wanted to play guitar, but I started when it'll be 50 years this year that I've played. And I took off with it right away. I mean, immediately. And so well that when I was 17, I got enrolled into a special classical guitar program from Indiana University for high schoolers, and studied with their professor for a year. And that was really tough. I thought that was going to be my life. I was going to go to Spain, study there, do all that. And then I might have told you about the concert I went to with my professor of a young lady who was very beautiful, had lots of albums. But I turned to him and said, I hate to say this, but I might be better than she is. And he said, "You're substantially better than she is, but you're not pretty and blonde." So then I learned the politics of music and said, I think I'll be a lawyer and do it on the side. So from then, but I also knew that my music, that I would play in church no matter what. That would be my emphasis of playing my music, would always be in church. And I've been playing at Southgate for, it seems like forever. I'm there every Sunday with my Telecaster or my Martin guitar, or I play mandolin. And so I keep doing that. My goals, I'm teaching guitar 2 afternoons and evenings a week, which I love doing. And I'll keep doing that. I'm still learning. I'll find something, go, oh, I wonder how you do that. So I'll try to figure it out and do it. I've got a lot of guitars and a lot of instruments, and I just feel like while I'm still breathing, I'm going to, every day I try to pick up something. Well, I'll see something on the internet and like a chord progression. I got to grab my chord sheets and write down the progression, because I got to figure out what are they doing? And so that'll continue on. And then the other side is I'm still doing law. I work for a local healthcare facility 1 day a week, and then doing what I really like, which is helping organizations like yours.
Thank you.
Yes, with whatever you've got going. If there's something that the legal side, that I can help with. The blessing of working for Premier Health was I learned everything about not-for-profit law there is to know. I mean that's a huge not-for-profit. Every issue known to man happens there. So I feel like you come to me with an issue, I feel like, well, I think I did that in 2001. Yeah, I remember that problem. So I'm trying to help with that. I also love doing governance work. I love helping faith-based organizations if they're having trouble with the board, if the board doesn't feel right. I love talking to organizations. Wally Martinson, one of my greatest heroes. He's drugged me in for a couple things to give some presentations for Mission Increase, and I'm happy to do that just to help with help Christian organizations to remove the barriers so they can do what they do. And that's fun. That's fun for me. But yes, I am very busy.
Yes, you are.
I don't call it retirement. I call it repurposing.
Yeah.
I don't believe in retirement. I just don't believe in it.
Well, you are certainly an inspiration to others who are either approaching retirement or already into retirement, to show exactly how you can live a life that's fulfilled. You can have fun and still be busy.
Yeah.
That can be just as good, I think, better than sitting in a rocking chair or sitting on a fishing bank someplace.
Yeah, those things are fine, but
yeah,
small doses.
Yeah, exactly.
And I learned from you, Eli. I've been watching you, man. So,
well, I don't claim to be retired.
No,
whatsoever.
you are not. You are not.
I retired my broadcasting, that side of it.
Yeah,
but
you did.
In terms of the ministry, the bulk of it, I'm still doing, and I'm loving every minute.
Yeah.
Still jumping, just not as high, as they say. Geoff Walker has been my guest today on the Fathering Strong podcast, and he certainly has been inspiring. He has been instructive, and I trust that all the dads out there and moms, whoever has been watching, listening, has taken something away that will be an encouragement and inspiration to you in your parenting. Thank you so much, Geoff. We do appreciate you being here today. I hope you don't mind if we call you again someday to come and do an encore of the Fathering Strong podcast.
Happy to do it. Thank you, Eli.
Thank you for joining us, folks, for this installment of the Fathering Strong podcast. Be with us next week and we'll have another interesting guest. We'll see you then. God bless.
Thanks for joining us on another episode of the Fathering Strong podcast. We hope you found the conversation inspiring and helpful. To make sure you don't miss out on future episodes, subscribe to the Fathering Strong podcast on YouTube, Spotify, or Apple Podcasts. Just search for Fathering Strong in your favorite app. The Fathering Strong podcast is brought to you by Urban Light Ministries, a nonprofit organization with a 3-decade legacy dedicated to turning the hearts of fathers to their children. Thanks to your support, we're able to keep this podcast and many other resources free for dads everywhere. To learn more about Urban Light Ministries or to donate and help us continue this important work, visit urbanlight.org. The Fathering Strong podcast is a production of Urban Light Ministries. Eli Williams is your host, and Bruce Stapleton of the Momentum Group is the producer and engineer. Our theme music is provided by saxophonist Harold Rayford.